morning. It's Tuesday, April 22nd. Here's what we're working on this morning. For the second year, the city of Hamilton gets an F for fiscal transparency.
Jury selection is set to start in the sexual assault trial of 5 former members of Canada's World Junior Hockey team.
And Andor Season 2 is out with the 3-part premiere. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Nice to have you on the desk again today.
Yes, nice to be here. And I was just thinking to myself, I cannot believe it's April 22nd already. We have flown through this month, and I mean, hopefully it's going to get warmer.
Let's keep it flowing.
It did get considerably warmer yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, did it ever?
Yeah.
It took a while, didn't it? It took a while, but then that thunderstorm went through, and all of a sudden, that was the warm front, and boom, all of a sudden, we climbed to 20 degrees by about 6 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So, yeah, it got a lot milder, fairly windy as well. We had that thunderstorm rumble its way across us, heavy downpour. Going through the area, and then it got warm, and it stayed windy, and it's still windy here this morning. We have winds gusting to over 40 kilometers an hour right now, and they will get stronger. But today we should see some sunshine. We're about 25 minutes to sunrise this morning. Yay! Sun gets up earlier all the time now. We are going to see the sun for the day today. It will begin to clear as the morning goes on, so we should have sunshine. Temperature today a little bit cooler than yesterday. We should hit 14 degrees, but still, that's a lovely April day, so we'll enjoy that. We'll talk about it coming up. Having a look at traffic, things are pretty much back to normal here this morning after our long Easter weekend. Starting to fill in here, as you can see at our camera. That's the 403 and Waterdown Road. To some MTO traffic cameras. And when I say MTO, I mean Ministry of Transportation Ontario. Centennial Parkway looks good. Toronto bound to the Skyway heading away from us. Here's the top of the Skyway. Looks good. Same with east of 4th. Toronto bound towards us on this camera. So no problems on the roads at the moment. We will keep you posted as we continue through the morning. And we'll look at the forecast as well. Right now, the news.
Thanks, Brian. When it comes to financial transparency, the city of Hamilton has scored an F for the second year in a row by the C.D. Howe Institute, an independent not-for-profit researcher. Sean Cowan is live at City Hall with more on these details. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Simone. Well, the C.D. Howe Institute looks at the financial transparency of 32 major cities all across Canada, and coming in at the bottom of the list, Gatineau, Quebec, Windsor, Ontario, Regina, Saskatchewan, and right here in Hamilton. Now, this report was released last week, and it grades cities on how clearly and accurately they present their finances. Cities are scored on a scale of 0 to 3 in areas like adherence to public sector accounting standards, year-end transparency, and reconciliation of budgets. Hamilton was the only city to score a 0 in all 13 categories for 2024. The low score is a reflection of last year's cybersecurity incident, which delayed the city's completion of audited financial statements. The C.D. Howe Institute says financial reports are tools for decision-making and accountability. Elected representatives and voters need to know how governments plan to raise and spend money, and if they did what they said they were going to do. Now, also making the list, the Niagara region scoring a C, as well as Halton region scoring a D. Annette from Hamilton, I'll send it back inside to you.
Jury selection is set to start in London, Ontario today for 5 former members of Canada's World Junior Hockey team. Dylan Dubé, Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, Cal Foote, and Alex Formanton are charged with sexual assault in an incident alleged to have happened in a hotel room in June of 2018. McLeod is facing an additional charge of being a party to the offense of sexual assault. All 5 players are expected to plead not guilty. Closing arguments are set to begin today in the murder trial of 2 people accused in the shooting death of a provincial police officer. OPP Constable Greg Piershala was shot on December 27, 2022, while responding to a vehicle in a ditch west of Hagersville near Brantford. Randall McKenzie and Brandy Stewart Sperry were each charged with first-degree murder in the 28-year-old officer's death. Both of the accused have pleaded not guilty.
The funeral for Pope Francis is going to be held on Saturday in St. Peter's Square. His death early yesterday begins a period of mourning, followed by a service led by the Dean of the College of Cardinals and a conclave to choose his successor. Bishop Gerard Burgi of St. Catherine's is on his way to Rome. He had planned to attend a canonization next Sunday, but now his visit is expected to include Pope Francis's funeral. Now in Hamilton, people leaving Easter Monday Mass at St. Stanislaus Church remembered Francis's legacy of openness, reconciliation, and his impact on the church's role in Canada.
Being a great leader and preaching acceptance, love, and mercy, I think, were his biggest contributions.
Preaching acceptance, love. He was a big leader for the youth.
Now, the Vatican this morning says Pope Francis had a stroke, which led to a coma and heart failure.
On the federal campaign trail, leaders of the major parties took time to mark the passing of Pope Francis.
Pope Francis was a voice of moral clarity, spiritual courage, and boundless compassion. He was, in many respects, the world's conscience, never hesitating to challenge the powerful on behalf of the vulnerable.
And I want to share my condolences on behalf of all New Democrats. If I could just share a personal reflection on Pope Francis, I was at the apology that the Pope did in Alberta to the Indigenous communities. I want to acknowledge the Indigenous communities and their long advocacy to get that apology. And it was a very powerful moment for many of the leaders that I met, many of the community members who talked about how hearing that apology from the Pope made them feel like they were taking a step forward on their healing journey. Just being acknowledged in that way, recognizing that a harm had happened and that harm was being acknowledged really was powerful. And I think only someone like Pope Francis was able and capable of making that commitment and fulfilling that apology. So I want to acknowledge that.
His role is, of course, at the center of the Catholic Church, and there have been countless millions of Catholics and non-Catholics that have been inspired by his leadership in faith and other domains.
Now, with less than a week away until the federal election, here's a look at where the leaders are. Today, Liberal leader Mark Carney is campaigning in Quebec. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has a news conference in Woodbridge this morning before heading to a rally in Vaughan tonight. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is making stops in Vancouver and Edmonton. And Green Party co-leader Elizabeth May is holding a press conference in Victoria, while co-leader Jonathan Pedneau is in Ottawa for a televised French debate.
A new poll from Angus Reid shows the Liberals are holding a slight lead that continues to grow larger in urban areas. Polls after the debate show Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's favorability improved, while Mark Carney's dropped a little bit. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh's stayed about the same. Now, the Liberals hold a 5-point lead over the Conservatives with less than a week to go until the federal vote. Poilievre will be releasing the Conservatives' costed platform today, 3 days after the Liberals and NDP released theirs.
Security officials with the federal government's election interference task force are warning of social media activity targeting a Conservative candidate in the Toronto area.
One of the 6 individuals targeted by Hong Kong is Joe Tay, Conservative Party candidate for Don Valley North and a known advocate for democracy and civil liberties in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. Since the bounty and arrest warrant were placed on Mr. Tay, members of the site task force have noticed a persistent information campaign on social media platforms where Chinese-speaking users in Canada are very active.
The operation features a mock wanted poster and as well as a disparaging headline and comments about Tay. Manipulation of online search engines were also being used to disparage Tay. The Don Valley candidate says the task force's findings were not new to him or his team. Officials say it's happening on social media platforms like Facebook, WeChat, TikTok, RedNote, and Douyin.
Well, check your bank account because starting today, some Canadians are going to be getting their final carbon rebate payments. People in 8 provinces, including excluding BC and Quebec, will receive between $95 and $225. Now, in Ontario, the base amount is $140. If you filed your taxes before April 2nd. You will get your rebate probably before the April 28th election. But for everybody else, it will come after their return is assessed. The rebate offsets the consumer carbon pricing, which the federal government scrapped on April 1st.
Hamilton police are asking for help finding a woman who went missing last night. 39-year-old Nicole Wiley was last seen near Woodward Avenue in the city's East End around 7 p.m. She's white with reddish-brown hair and blue eyes. She's 5'7" with a medium build and has tattoos on her arms. Wiley may be driving a black Ford Escape.
A Brantford man with dementia is missing. 66-year-old Joseph was last seen around 6 yesterday morning walking near Sympatica Crescent towards Linden Road. Now, Brantford police have not released his last name. Joseph is white, about 5'8", with a slim build and short gray hair. He's wearing a light gray hoodie, dark gray sweatpants, and white running shoes, and he walks with a cane.
Staying in Brantford, police there are also looking for a 27-year-old woman. Liliana hasn't been seen since late Sunday night near Powell Road and Blackburn Drive in Brantford. Police haven't released her last name. She's white, about 5'1", with dark brown hair and a buzz cut. She wears glasses, and police say she has scabs on her face. She may be wearing a silk head covering and a gray jacket. Liliana may have a blue bicycle with her and may be carrying or camped out in a lime green tent. Now to the NHL playoffs, Alex Ovechkin added another accomplishment to his illustrious career, just over 2 weeks since breaking Wayne Gretzky's record for the most goals in NHL history.
Bouncing puck off the draw, right in the slot. Ovechkin wins game 1 in overtime for Washington.
Ovechkin scored his first overtime goal in the Stanley Cup playoffs to give the Washington Capitals a victory over the Montreal Canadiens in Game 1 of their first-round series 3-2. He went to his first 44 playoff games over 15 previous appearances without doing that. Game 2 is tomorrow night in Washington before the series shifts to Montreal for Games 3 and 4 on Friday and Sunday, elsewhere in the NHL playoffs.
Morrissey, Luke Shen, he cycles it forward. Perfetti, and Kyle Connor scores!
Now, Mark Schifele had a goal and an assist, and Kyle Connor scored his second consecutive game winner in the third period to help the Winnipeg Jets beat the St. Louis Blues 2-1. Connor Hellebuck stopped 21 shots to help the Jets take a 2-0 lead in their opening round series. St. Louis will host Game 3 Thursday night.
Here's Colin Blackwell going at Johnson. Blackwell into the slot, shoots. Save made through traffic by Blackwood. Blackwell scores!
Colin Blackwell scored in overtime, and the Dallas Stars beat the Colorado Avalanche 4-3 in Game 2 to even up the first round Western Conference Series. Tyler Seguin, Thomas Harley, and Evgeny Dadivov also had goals for Dallas, which avoided losing the first 2 games in its opening round series for the second year in a row.
With 50 seconds to go, the Kings get it clear. And now it's Trevor Moore. He'll look, wait, drop it off. Deneau.
Philip Deneau's second goal of the game, scored with 42 seconds left in the third, gave the LA Kings a 6-5 win over the Edmonton Oilers in their series. Connor McDavid had a goal and 3 assists for the Oilers. Game 2 goes tomorrow night in LA.
Hey, 6:13 already. Let's get going into this Tuesday morning where the sun is just about up now, getting earlier all the time. So grab the sunglasses because you will see some sunshine for the day today. Looking at traffic this morning, nothing at the 403 on Waterdown Road. Looks good right there, so no problems. To our MTO traffic cameras once again, we'll start in St. Catharines, QEW east of Lake. Nothing to see, absolutely looking good there. Centennial Parkway, moving okay. It's now starting to get a little slow here as you come down off the Skyway Bridge at Fairview. This is always an early spot that gets busy. We flip ahead to the Ford plant, nothing there. The 403 at Burnham Thorpe looks good, and here's the QEW at the 427 Gardner combination. So everything's moving nicely so far today. Let's check the temperature that we have at the moment. It has just come down by a degree. We were 8, we're now sitting at 7. The winds are a little bit lighter as well. Last hour they were gusting to about 42. This morning they've come down to gusting to about 30. It is a mostly cloudy start to the day today. School is back after the long Easter weekend. Sun-cloud mix. It's going to be windy today. Those winds could gust to about 50 kilometers an hour, but we'll sit around 14 degrees, which is above seasonal for this time of year for a daytime high. So we had that warm front, cold front scenario. Now establishing is that ridge of high pressure to the south of us, going to give us some sunshine for the day today. We're going to see a little bit more cloud cover for the day tomorrow. Frontal boundary goes by us to the south, and it looks like a little bit of instability as we continue toward the end of the week. But today, temperatures 10 to 13 for Niagara, 14 to 16 this end of the lake, and 15 degrees for Halton Peel into Toronto. Well, Halton 14, but still a mix of sun and clouds for the day after a fairly cloudy start. Tonight, temperature, well, get a little bit cooler, 2 and 3 degrees. We'll see fairly clear skies throughout the evening, but then some cloud cover will roll in, 1 and 0 for Peel and for Guelph and Kitchener. And then tomorrow, temperatures come up nicely. Well, cool for Niagara Falls, but 16 for St. Catharines, 19 and 20, but a little bit cooler for Halton Peel, Toronto, as you can see there. But at least we'll have more sunshine for the day tomorrow. With a little bit of cloud cover, that instability is going to push in later in the day. So out the door, 22nd morning of April, mostly cloudy. It is fairly windy already here this morning. Our temperature sitting at 7. And long range, of course, coming up. Annette, Simone.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Well, coming up after the break, investors around the world are becoming more skeptical about American investments. We'll tell you why in 2. Welcome back. Let's look at some business numbers now. The Canadian dollar is up 11 basis points this morning to 72.34 cents U.S. Gold gained another $34.50 an ounce, and crude is up nearly $1, trading over $64 a barrel. In midday European trading, markets are up in London, but down in Frankfurt and Paris.
In Asia, the markets were down in Tokyo, but up a bit in Hong Kong and Shanghai. North American markets were down amid ongoing tariff concerns. We'll have more on that in just a minute. So the TSX lost almost 200 points. The Dow dropped nearly 1,000, and the Nasdaq was down 415. U.S. stock futures this morning point to a higher opening.
Global markets tumbled as investors grow wary of the U.S. leadership. Wall Street took another hit, not just from economic data, but from growing unease over President Donald Trump's trade war and his attacks on the U.S. Federal Reserve. Analysts say it's eroding confidence in the United States as a safe place to invest. As a result, the U.S. dollar has dropped to a 3-year low, and bond yields are shifting. Big tech led the sell-off ahead of earnings, with Tesla and Nvidia posting steep losses.
And with confidence in U.S. markets dropping, some investors are looking elsewhere. Wealthy Americans are reportedly turning to Swiss banks again to protect their money from uncertainty over Trump's policies. After stricter rules in the last few years, banks in Switzerland are once again seen as a safe haven for assets, mainly because of Switzerland's strong currency and neutral stance.
Meta is making changes to crack down on young people who lie about their age on Facebook and Instagram. It's going to use artificial intelligence to automatically identify teens who are younger than 16 and move them into restrictive teen accounts. Those accounts have more limitations on who can view and interact with a teenager's profile. The changes will also limit the time teen account users can spend online.
Google's facing off against the U.S. government. A federal judge ruled last summer that Google broke antitrust laws to maintain its online search dominance. This hearing will see the U.S. Justice Department and Google present what they believe to be the proper market remedy. So the Justice Department is suggesting a breakup of the company, which is worth $1.8 trillion. They recommend a spin-off of Google's Chrome web browser, which helps to drive traffic to its search engine.
All right, 6:21 on your Tuesday morning. We'll take a break right now. Brian will be back with traffic and your 7-day forecast.
Good morning, 6:24. We are 2 minutes to sunrise now. QEW in 7th looks good here in St. Catharines. Usually start here. Toronto-bound lanes heading away from us on that shot. We'll flip ahead to top of the Skyway, starting to get busier, starting to get slow as you head down to North Shore. No problems east of 4th, nothing at Lorne Park, dipping into the 403. At Burnhamthorpe, all doing fine, so no problems on the highway so far today. Temperature this morning has just come down a degree, as I mentioned. We were 8. We're now sitting at 7 for Hamilton Grimsby, 8 Mississauga, 9 into Toronto. Now to start the day this time of year, we should be around 3 degrees. That's what they call seasonal. So 13 for the daytime high. We were way above that yesterday. We got to 20 degrees yesterday. Those are our sun times. 6:26 up, 8:10 it goes down. And those are our records for the day today. So for school today, we should be 7 by the first bell, which is where we're sitting right now. We'll have a bit of cloud cover, and then skies will begin to clear. We'll have a mix of sun and clouds, and 14 degrees for later on today. So that's today. Sunny, it'll become sunny and 14. Down to 3 overnight, so that'll be seasonal for an overnight low. Tomorrow we'll see some cloud cover in the morning, then the skies will clear. 19 tomorrow, and then 20 and 21 for Thursday and Friday. There is chance of showers both Thursday, Friday, and it looks like Saturday with that cold front going through. We'll get cloudy skies and only 12. Then 15 and 14 on Monday, of course, Election Day. And that's your forecast. Annette Simone.
Looks good, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Drones can now help deliver supplies on the world's highest mountain, Mount Everest.
So 2 drones from a drone mapping startup called Airlift Technology can safely carry about 20 kilograms. So they're able to carry ropes, ladders, and life-saving medical equipment. The journey takes local climbing experts about 6 to 7 hours on foot, but for the drones, they can get the equipment up there in 6 minutes. The technology could make conquering Mount Everest much safer and could obviously save lives. The drones will help transport supplies ahead of this year's climbing season. Each drone, by the way, costs $70,000 US, so it is expected to add to the total cost of climbing because apparently a permit alone to climb Mount Everest is about $11,000 US, and you factor in a guide and the supplies that you have to bring with you. It's about $20,000 right now, and that's before this is factored in. So,
wow, all that prep to climb the mountain.
Yes, it's a big climb.
It is. It's a huge climb.
It's not like going up Hamilton Mountain.
No,
not like taking the stairs.
That's more up my alley. I don't know if I would do that. All right, plenty more to come. Stay with us. We'll have more right after the break.